guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. I'm excited for today's episode. I thought with the hustle and bustle of the new year and just throwing all of our goals in and like all the stress and just balls to the wall that happens with the new year, I felt like it was really good to talk about this topic, and I'm going to be really blunt with you. Not resting and going balls to the wall is the reason why you're not meeting your goals. So we're just going to talk about rest, why it's productive, how I rest and still prioritize meeting my goals, especially in the winter. So that's what we're doing right now. If you are watching, I'll show you. Let's see if you can see it. Hold on. Yeah, there's a snowstorm going on right now. Pretty big one, and I'm really excited about it. I love snowstorms. I went to the barn this morning and made sure that my horse was all good, and now I'm just letting it happen. I just feel like it's the perfect like backdrop for the conversation we're having today, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, my neighbor is scraping his sidewalk and his driveway right now, which I'm kind of shocked about because it is still snowing very aggressively. But I mean, go at it, bud. You know, hit the ground running, I guess, even though that's the opposite of what we're talking about today. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the intro. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe on whatever platform you're on. We're a community of women working to become the best version of ourselves, and if you want to join us, the best way to do that is follow. If you do follow on YouTube, don't forget to comment #GalWithGoals so that I know that you're a real one, and I'll comment back and do all the fun things. So yeah. That is pretty much it. And let's just go ahead and jump on into the first episode of 2025. Woo! I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. So, like I said, the hustle of New Year's is crazy. I hope that you had a great New Year's. I hope you had so much fun. But I know that we're all stressing. I know that you guys have probably seen all of my posts that are talking about how, like, my vision board, you know, I do a monthly vision board, yearly vision board, the affirmations for the year. I've been really throwing all of that out there, and it's just because I do it every year and it's there for you to look at, but I don't expect you to be just, like, absolutely hitting the ground running, no rest, no sleep, no rejuvenation, just, like, balls to the wall, like I said. I don't expect that from you. I'm not doing that. I'm just going ahead and getting all that out there because it is my goals for the year. It is my monthly goals and things like that. And I do it every month. And I want you guys to be able to see that and get motivated. But I'm by no means like out here getting up at 6 a.m., running to the gym, like doing all of these crazy things like Beyonce type schedule. Absolutely not. And I don't think that's productive. And I'm going to tell you why. So we're going to get into everything. We're going to get into why rest is productive. We're going to get into why rest is more productive than just working instead of resting. And we're going to get into how I rest. So let's just talk about a couple things that kind of made me get the ball rolling, why rest is a thing. So we're setting our foundation for the rest of the year, right? That's what I see January, March, April, skipped February, January, February, March, April. That's what I see that as, is like the foundation months. You're making sure that you're good mentally, physically, you have all of the plans ready so you can take action after that foundation is there the second half of the year, right? And the first place you want to start is your health. You want your mental health to be good, which in turn means your physical health needs to be good, because if you're not eating right, you're not going to feel good mentally, which means you need to be working out, because if you're not doing that, you're not releasing those endorphins and things like that. Like, it's all connected in terms of your health. That's where you need to be starting. And if you are burnt out and you're working and you're not taking the time to rest, then you're definitely, unfortunately, not going to be as productive if you just take the time and rest and build that foundation. One thing that I think of that really just helps me envision it is when you think about the Hermit tarot card, whether you believe in tarot cards or not, what it represents is very applicable. It's meant to represent someone who is doing the inner work, someone who is maybe not being very social. They're kind of internally doing a lot. They're not going out a lot. They're at home a lot. They're seen as a quote-unquote hermit. And I think that in traditional standards, we view the hermit as a bad thing. But in the tarot card, it's a good thing. It means they're doing the inner work, they're going inside, they're working on themselves, and it doesn't mean that they're going to be there forever. It's always temporary. It means that they're doing that work so that they can come out on the other side and blossom into something beautiful, which I think is how we should view hibernation, the word the hermit, winter. Like, we should be viewing this as a time of being gentle and going in and having that interwork, meditation, being gentle, being soft, not overworking ourselves and hitting the ground running. Just because you're resting doesn't mean that you're not working towards your goals. You're just going about it differently. I prioritize different goals for the year based on what season of life I'm in. And like I said, I am building a foundation for most of my goals. So just because I'm not going out and like being super, super action oriented doesn't mean that I'm not reaching those goals. I'm planning, I'm strategizing, I'm making sure I'm good mentally to hit the ground running when it is time to do that. I'm still reaching those goals. I'm just going about it differently than I would in, say, like July or August. So I like to align my priorities with this season. And for me, winter screams inner work. It screams you're working on your self-care, your health, your inner work, your trauma, your all those things. Like, it's very you oriented. You're not really like doing anything crazy for anything but yourself. Of course, if you're like saving up to buy a house, yeah, you're still going to be saving up. You're still going to be doing things like that, but it's very, very oriented around yourself. And I like that because when spring comes around, you're going to have that reset. That's when you're going to like start waking up and doing more of those action items, and it's less strategizing and more doing in the spring, and you need to make sure that you're good before then. So some quick ways that you know that rest is productive to kind of motivate you. This is what will happen if you rest. Resting improves your creativity and problem solving. You have more clarity. You're able to do that. It makes your life more efficient because you are more efficient when you're well rested. That's just proven. It increases your memory and removes the brain fog, which is a huge motivation for me. I hate having brain fog, so I really, really cannot wait to have that again. And it rejuvenates you. You have more energy. I feel like a lot of people view rest as a chore, and it should be seen as a priority. It should be seen as an exciting thing. It should be seen as, it should just be higher up on the list than it is. Like, people are just kind of like, I'll rest when I'm dead. Like, rest is for the weak or whatever. Like, people have all these sayings around rest, and it's like just not true. Like, the strongest people know when they need to rest. The people who are millionaires understand that they can't work as efficiently when they're not well rested, and they know when to call it quits. So resting is important. It's just as important as everything else. I think that the term work smarter, not harder is so, so relevant here, because when you rest, you are working smarter versus working harder by working through that time that you should be resting, because you're making more mistakes, you're stressing out, you're not taking the time you need to come at it from a fresh and, like I said, like rejuvenated angle. You're just stressing yourself out more. Now I'm gonna kind of talk you through what I do to promote rest, what it's like, and my it girl habits that are going to help you go through this it girl hibernation, so to speak, and come out the best version of yourself and ready to go. So these are all things I implement into my routine daily throughout the winter months. Of course, there's days when you're going to be more productive than others. There's days when you really need to rest versus when you need to really do a deep cleaner, things like that, and that's just about knowing yourself. But in general, from day to day, this is what I do. So the first thing I do is I take things slower. I think that we tend to have the mindset that we need to rush and get things in as soon as possible and just check off that to-do list. I'm not doing that in the winter. I take it slow. I take my time. I move from one place to the other when I feel like it. I'm just very gentle with myself. And if possible, I don't have a schedule. I have a rough schedule. Like today, I said, you know what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the barn. I need to film today. And then everything else will just kind of fall as it may. But I didn't tell myself, well, I need to be done with this by noon because I have to move on to this or whatever. Like, I usually have a very strict time management schedule, and I'm not doing that. I'm just going to do what I can, get done with what I can today, and then rest will be done tomorrow. I'm being much more gentle with myself. It's a lot easier to do on the weekends because, like, during the week we're working and you have a work schedule, you work from 8 to 5, and this really doesn't apply to that because, like, you have to get your work done in order to keep your job. So I'm not saying to be, like, very, you know, la-di-da with that, but with everything else in your life, you don't need to be rushing around like the world's gonna end. So I take it slow and I don't have a schedule impossible. I really, really prioritize my creative hobbies, mainly because for me it's a form of meditation. When I'm crocheting, it's meditative. When I'm painting, it's very meditative. When I'm playing the piano, it's very meditative. When I'm writing, it's very healing. It's a creative outlet. It kind of heals my inner child and my trauma. So I'm leaning on those creative hobbies that allow me to kind of focus on that inner work, because it is very meditative and it is kind of like a second thing that I do while I'm working through all the things going on in my brain. So those creative hobbies are really fun. I'm actually going to start painting as soon as I'm done with this, and then I'm going to edit this once it gets dark out, because I really enjoy the natural light while I'm painting and it gets dark so early. So after I do that, I really focus on self-care. I actually do this like all day. So in the mornings, afternoon, night, I'm focusing on self-care. So face mask, making sure you're putting lotion and sunscreen and all those things on because it gets really dry. I do consider going to the gym something that you do while you're living a soft life, because it is very meditative for me, at least. I'm usually just doing the treadmill, and I'm really, really meditative when I'm on the treadmill. Like, I'm using that time to think. It's also like just between me and my workout. Like, I'm not really talking to anybody. I'm not being very social. It's very much like a thing that I do when I'm in hibernation. So I consider the gym to be a part of the slow time. Days like today where it's literally snowing, we went out earlier and it was a mess. Like, I'm obviously not going to go to the gym, but you can take it slow, do like stretching, maybe do some Pilates on the mat, like things that you can do that are just honing in yourself and like your body and like getting to the core of like your thoughts, but also physical. It's a very meditative thing for me. I'm prioritizing coziness instead of going out. I really prioritize like staying home and having a cup of tea, which I have right now, and just being very at peace with myself versus trying to go out to the bars, trying to see friends, trying to drive all over God's green earth. Like, I really want to be cozy, and I'm really not going to get mad at myself for feeling that urge and following it. When you think about it, we are the only things on the planet that don't hibernate in the winter. The plants go to sleep, the animals go to sleep, the weather changes. Like, everything is really pointing towards rest and recharging. And we're the only people that are like, nah, we're gonna run to the mall for Christmas. We're gonna have family traveling. We're gonna start these New Year's resolutions on the 1st. Like, that is not what anybody else does. So I'm trying to follow more of the cycle of nature. And I think that when you do that, things just align. I know that that sounds kind of woo-woo, but think about it. Like, everything else on the planet is very, very, very cyclical, and we're just like doing the opposite. Obviously, that's not going to feel good. So trying to align more with the seasons is something that I am trying to do. Aside from like the coziness, the next thing that I do is I focus on warm foods. I really love soup this time of year. I just love having some very, very warm, hearty food that is good for you. Obviously, I'm focusing on foods that are good for you. But I really want them to be warm. I just love a soup. I love a casserole. I love all the things that are warm and cozy. I romanticize everything. I am the woman who is probably in a Lifetime movie somewhere, just like drinking her tea, looking out the window at the snow. Like, making tea is romanticizing for me. Like, I am so, so, so romantic when it comes to the winter. I am in a little sweater. I have a candle going. I'm just like being very poetic and writing poetry. Like, I am the most romantic person in the winter, and I feel like you have to a certain extent to keep you from getting that seasonal depression that likes to roll in. But I am a big fan of romanticizing everything in the winter, like literally everything. And I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think that it really helps you to fall into that hibernation state of mind, because you are like content with the littlest thing because you're romanticizing everything. Very, very, very minimal technology. Absolutely no scrolling. I'm not scrolling. If I go on technology, it's to keep up with my brands that I'm posting for, like work related things, or I am keeping up with family, like we've had family in the hospital and things like that the past couple of weeks, so I've been keeping up with them through social media because I don't live in the same area. But aside from that, we are not scrolling. We are not reading Facebook comments for hours. I love doing that, especially if it's like a really juicy post. Like, I will just sit there and read. No. You should be reading a book, or you should be working on a creative hobby, or you should be resting. Like, there are such better ways to spend your time, and I feel like focusing on that negativity of like the comments and all the things that go into that, like, you are just like letting that affect you, and you should just be spending your time in a better place, focusing on much better things. So no scrolling, no technology, no big light after 9:30 p.m. I try to go to bed by 10:30, so at 9:30 you're turning out the big light. You're only having candles, and I have like a sunlight lamp that I have in my room that's going. I have so many little twinkly lights. Our Christmas tree is going to be up for a couple more weeks because we had to push Christmas with our family, so we haven't even done Christmas yet. So that's staying up. That goes on. Like, no big lights after 9:30. I try to have it light enough that I can still read, but absolutely no big lights. Absolutely not. I like to stay near windows in the winter. I mentioned that I like natural light. I will sit in this chair and read. I'll sit in my room and read because I have really big bay windows in there. I will just take it all in. Like, I am so into this. Like, I just love the snow, and I feel like it's refreshing. It's a reset. There's something about it because I do have a lot of mental health stuff going on. Honestly, from a poetic standpoint and just like my emotional side, there's something about the winter being so dark and so like depressing, the contrast of that to the snow and the reset and the warmth that it gives, that just gives me so much comfort, and I really am drawn to it. So I really like it, and I try to stay near windows as much as possible because the darkness gets to you quick if you're not careful. Like I said, I'm planning and I'm setting the foundation. So I watch my vision boards every morning. I scroll through my vision boards every morning. I look at my monthly goals and I say, how am I getting there today? What am I doing to get there today? I'm still working. I'm just not doing it in a very rushed, active place. It's a planning and strategic way. So for example, I'm working on writing books. I want to have 2 books drafted by the end of the year, and one of them is a fantasy book. So I am reading a lot of fantasy fictional books to get my thoughts going, understand how I want to write, get ideas, and that's one thing I'm doing to get closer to that goal this month. So I'm reading Fourth Wing. The 3rd one comes out in end of January. So I'm finishing, hopefully, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame just in time for that to come out. I'm almost done with Fourth Wing, and then I'll be on to Iron Flame. But that's one thing I'm doing, and it's like I'm not directly writing, but I'm gathering ideas, and I'm still being very like thoughtful, and as I go through, if I see something I like, I really just write that down. Like, the wheels are turning, and I'm still writing my poetry for my other book. So I'm just really like focusing on the chill side of it versus the hitting the ground running, writing every night, that kind of thing. But I'm still reaching that goal nonetheless. So we're planning and we're setting the foundation. We're staying very, very grounded. It's very easy to spiral because you are in like a dark winter moment type of situation. So if you get emotional and you start spiraling and you kind of lose your sense of like self and that groundedness, you are gonna spiral fast. So I want you to meet your emotions head on. Like, if you have something that's bothering you, you should be meeting that. You should be honest with yourself. You should be truthful. So I don't want you to just ignore that for the sake of grounding yourself, but when you can, I want you to come from a grounded, calm perspective. I don't want you to just be like spiraling all the time. So meet your problems head on. Kind of attack what the problem is. Be honest with yourself. Cry it out. Write down your emotions in your journal, but then you're gonna resolve it and move on, and you're gonna stay as grounded as you can. You don't want to be very easily shaken. So those are the things I'm doing to promote rest. The last thing I want to leave you with is the words that I have to really sum up this hibernation. These are just a couple words that are like my buzzwords that you've probably heard me say 1,000 times that I relate to this time. The first one is gentle. I want you to be gentle with yourself, gentle with everything going on. Soft, really picture soft living. Like, you want to be soft and kind, and you don't want to be very hard. Safe. This is a time when you want to be in a safe space. You want to be deconstructing yourself and the beliefs that no longer align with you, and you should be doing that in a safe space. Honest with yourself, your feelings, and others. You are getting to the bottom of who you are and building that foundation, and you can't do that if it's built from a false place. So make sure you're being honest. And lastly, healing. You are healing yourself, whether that's mentally, physically, whatever it is. You are eating healthy, you are working out, you are healing yourself mentally, emotionally, you are making sure that you are coming from a strong place so that you can hit the ground running. So those are my words. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please, please, please implement some of these. Let me know if you are going to be having an It Girl hibernation this winter. I know I am, and I can't wait to hear about yours versus mine and see what we all learn. I'm really hyped about the snowstorm, so I'm gonna go paint, and then I will get this edited and up. So yeah, I hope you guys had a great New Year's. We are really on track for this year. I feel really good about it. I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are too. I will see you guys next Sunday with a new podcast episode. I love you so much. If you're in this snowstorm, please stay safe. Don't go out unless you have to. And read some books, crochet, paint, do the piano, write. All the creative things. Do what makes you happy, like your creative chosen thing. And let me know how it goes. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye.